Hello everyone, here's Vorondil for a new game. Hello everyone, a new game. Sorry, the sound was activated on my browser, so I get some echo. But now it's sorry. So, do you hear the game sound? Okay, very good. So I will playing as France, as usual. And this time I'm in single player. So last time I was starting a multiplayer game. It was a bit stressful because it was a player I did not know for some. And I did not have some time to train in this game version and with this mod version. But it's all right because right now we will go through the game and the change from the new version and from the mod. And I'm open to any question if you are interested by the game and the mod. And it does not matter if we take 1 hour without pressing the start button. But we will see. It really depends on what you guys want me to do there. I will start playing as France because it's my country and also my roleplay as the stereotypical French guy, as you hear with my accent. Sorry, not sorry, but English language is a bit difficult for me, especially about the accent. Also, France is also interesting because you start as the number 2 great power in the world in 1836. And as such, we have already some little colonies in Algeria, but so only some little places around the sea. Some colonies in Africa, like in Senegal and Ivory Coast. We already have the French Guiana and the island in the Caribbean Seas. So the Guadeloupe, Martinique. And also La Réunion here, which is interesting already because that's many places around the world. Later on, I will be colonize many other places to try to replicate historical French Empire, or maybe a bit different. It depends of the game of opportunities. Also, France start as one of the biggest continental European power. You see, with a population somewhat considerable. So only 5 after China, India, Russia, and Austria, but very close to Austria, and before Japan and Great Britain, which is very important because in this game and also in the historical era, population was everything. Also, I just saw that Marl start to follow, so a big thanks for us, big thanks for you. More follow is more incitation to go there. So, as I said, yeah, the French population, but as you see, it's kind of decreasing slowly because we are starting with which is mod changes, a bit historical, this, with some malus, the Napoleonic War legacy, because we are just like 20 years after the Napoleonic Wars, and it was really bloody for the French youth at this time. So less births and less marriage and so on. And because of that, there was a generational gap and less birth rate in general, and also more crippled people that cannot work. That's why there is also less people able to work and more elderly people and so on. There is also another thing preventing birth rate, which is in-game called Malthusianism, which was a philosophical thought telling that there is not enough resources for everyone, so we should not have too much children to avoid them to starve to death. It's kind of representative of the era, but the reality is more complex, and even right now, historians don't really know why French population kind of stagnated a lot during the 19th century, while in other nations it exploded. So we saw the population number and so on. We will start to look for other things in the starting situation of France. We have the politics, the economy, the trade, the military, and the research, and the potential companies. Chat, have you some preferences to start with for politics, for the economy, or seeing the different French states one by one for their advantages and drawback? So we will see what is the assets in the French territory. Okay, we will increase the game sound. It's already. Second, the sound is not strong enough. Is it better? Is the sound better right now? Okay. Thank you. So, I will start already with the political situation of France, if everyone is on that. Because it's the first icon, and it will be better to explain things one by one. So, the overview looks a bit complicated, but in reality it's not. First, we have our head of state, which is someone I don't really like in history, which is the King Louis-Philippe d'Orléans, which is an Orleanist and kind of supportive of the industrialists, which means he has some political preferences and will push some policies for some policies against others. He has an heir, le Prince Royal Ferdinand Philippe d'Orléans. Both are historical characters. And we can even have more information on them. So, ruler and politician, the ages, and some traits. Sometimes we even have the health, and very important is their popularity. Which means when they are loved, they are more influential on the general population, and when they are hated, population are more eager to revolt. So they have these modifiers, which means they increase the political strength of various political groups, give some authority, help improve relation between countries thanks to the tactful trait. But the opposition really hate it, and is sadly, because I really hate that character, with a good health. So we won't get away of it because of him, because of natural death. Here we have an empty screen there for the loyalists and radical, which means the population that will support the regime, the population that will hate it. But for now, it is not really important because the game has not really started, but it will fill out for the radicals fast enough, you will see. Here, probably the most important part of this, you have the political movement, which means the movement will push some reforms, and if they are angry, they even can do a revolution or civil war. We have the Bonapartists. So the Bonapartists, they want a monarchy with autocracy. They like very authoritarian regime, presidential over parliamentary. They kind of hesitate between no voting or universal suffrage. They like the army. They prefer the interventionism economic system. Homesteading, which means kind of free farms. And they support kind of a meritocratic society. But they hate a lot of things that may be interesting for us, like they don't want us to modernize the taxes. One second. Yeah, the with kings I like, no. I don't like so much the French kings, but some are worse than others. Louis Philippe is not the worst, but it is the last king. So, sort of, it is already a relic from the past, and France needs a more modern form of government. So, we see the Bonapartist movement, which is kind of authoritarian, can help for the army and maybe in the economy, but on the liberties and to reform into democracy, they are not that great. We have the legitimist movement, which are honestly the worst, because they support the Ancien Régime. They want the return of the Bourbon monarchy. So they want the monarchy, autocracy, oligarchy. They want harsh taxes. They want the farmers to be obedient to landlords. They want hereditary privilege that were abolished in the revolution. Which king? I think worse than Louis Philippe a lot, like Louis the 14th, which was absolutely awful as absolute monarch. But some older king of the Middle Ages were kind of decent. But in the modern area, basically all kings were awful. Especially after the revolution, they just did not feel at the right place. In the legitimists will be basically our biggest enemy in the internal politics. And they are kind of influential with people with strong religious belief, because they believed that the king was with God legitimacy, which is very strong. Then we have the Orleanists. The Orleanists are the supporter of the current king, Louis Philippe. The Orleanists are the liberal right in France, and we have seen Bonapartist, legitimist, and now Orleanist. They are still kind of relevant in today's French politics and represent different branch of the right. Currently, for example, the Orleanists are more or less represented by the current President Macron, while the Bonapartists are more represented by the former Gaullist and currently the supporter of the former President Nicolas Sarkozy, while the legitimists are more or less represented by Éric Zemmour and somewhat the Rassemblement National. So this is still relevant in today's politics. So the Orleanists are more the liberal right, so they want free market, basically. They want to industrialize and to have no stop, nothing blocking them to develop their companies. That means they don't want liberties for the workers and so on. So they can be useful early on to develop the economy, but they will make people, common people, poorer somehow, or they won't make them richer for sure. So it is kind of double sword edge, like the Bonapartist, but definitely less problematic than the legitimists that want to go back for Louis XIV or worse. Then we have here the radical movement, which is the descent of revolutionary France. Radical, you can recognize the typical hat here, which is called le bonnet phrygien. It's a huge symbol of the French Revolution on 1789. So they want basically more democracy. They want a republic which is either presidential or parliamentary. They want a better voting system like universal suffrage, but they can go for census suffrage, which means people that can read can vote, and universal means everyone can vote. They want liberty of speech, guaranteed liberty, public school. They don't like the police too much, and they prefer a meritocratic system over privilege. For the armed force, they prefer the mass conscription, which is the heir of the revolutionary armies, and are not so fond of the professional army, because the professional army is the lair of royalists. Basically, they don't like everything that sounds authoritarian to them. So it is a movement that will help a lot to modernize, but if we don't modernize enough, they can revolt and create a new revolution or a civil war. So it can be interesting, but a civil war causes lots of damages. So I will prefer to reform than going to bloody revolution. And we have something that starts already, which is basically people not liking what is not French. So ethno-nationalists, it is a conception of the citizenship that is based on the ethnicity and not a political citizenship. And they will push a very nationalistic agenda. So they push for the national supremacy or ethno-state, for control migration, and they don't want us to open the borders and open the society. They are kind of weak, but later on they can evolve into something we know better as fascism. Ah, salut Desmond. Et merci pour m'avoir suivi. si tu as des questions, etc., n'hésite pas à intervenir dans le chat en français ou en anglais, comme tu préfères. So to continue, we saw the movement, then we have the political lobbies. Donc les lobbies politiques, which means some groups favored relationship with certain countries, like the intelligentsias would like good relation with the British, and the landowner would prefer to stay away from the British, while the army want us to oppose to the Prussian. Here we can have agitators. So agitators will be characters, certains personnages, that will help us to increase some movement. Currently, we can't invite anyone because they are not French, basically. But later on, when we will pass some more liberal citizenship laws, we could invite agitators from other countries, and they will help us to reform the country. Okay, so we've saw this panel, and now the one that will be more used, that is the government, le gouvernement, which is here, just beyond the king. And there we have the opposition, which is the political party that are not members of the government. So, for the moment, in power, we have le parti de la résistance et le parti du mouvement. Le parti de la résistance was the landowners supporting the king, so the Orléanists, and the industrialists, because the king also supports industrialists. Basically, le parti de la résistance represent the people that loved this king, because it was present like a compromise between the monarchy and the revolution after the monarchy de Juillet that happened in 1832. And this king came in power after Charles X, so a very absolutist monarch was ejected, thankfully, because Charles X was the worst French king of the 19th century for very sure. So let's see what want the parties in the government and in the opposition. I can change the government and invite some opposition party a bit like I want, but if I do that, as you see, for example, if I put the républicain modéré into the government, so rural folk plus intelligentsia, I will have very low legitimacy, which means passing laws will be very hard. So to get some good laws, I first will do with the two parties I have now, because they have kind of good legitimacy. Contest government, it is not the best, but it is decent enough, because if I go there, it is 15% more enactment time, which means passing laws will be very, very slow. I won't go there unless I have no other choice. And there I just cannot enact law without political movement. So I will stay here. So, the Parti de la Résistance, they are the landowners of the main conservative. They are paternalistic, so they want monarchy. They don't want the people to vote. They prefer hereditary bureaucrat, local police, and they like kind of agrarian economical system. That means they want an economy based on agriculture. They are the old traditional monarchists. They are also patriarchal, which means they prefer the traditional role of women and oppose women's rights. And stratocratic, which means they like a society where people are organized into kind of castes. So they want hereditary or they want privileges. They don't want public school. They don't want retraite, the pensions for the old people. Which is interesting that they are not that bad for the taxation. They want tenant farmers, which mean the farmers are more dependent of the big landowners. They don't want worker rights, and they prefer professional armies over more people-centered armies. And then the leader, Victor de Broglie, yes, it's written de Broglie, but we say de Broglie, I don't know why. Sometimes the French language can be weird, which is an historical character. Is Orleanist, which means he supports monarchy, but also parliamentary system, which is a compromise, once again. They want the wealth voting, which means the wealth voting means they want only the rich people can vote. They strongly like le laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is an economical system where the state not intervene much. So it makes the companies or capitalists very strong, and as a state we won't have many ways to interact with them, but they will develop stronger. Yeah, for De Broglie, you will recognize lots of people in literature because all the authors back then were also politicians. So for the taxation, they want per capita taxation, which is not that great, but they are neutral for income taxation, which is better. So they won't like when we want to improve our taxation, but that will be fine. For the health system, they prefer a private health insurance, which is not great, but still better than no health system at all. But they clearly oppose public health system because they are freaking economic liberals. Then for the trade policy, of course, they want free trade. Free trade means we can't do much tariffs, but we can get maybe some trade advantage. I will explain later what is a trade advantage. And for land reform, they prefer, of course, commercialized agriculture, which means agriculture being owned by capitalists. And on social class, which is a more unique thing, social classes, they endorse meritocracy over privilege or communist classless society. So, for le parti du mouvement, now, which are the industrialists, and kind of represent the liberal Republican. They are kind of close already to the Parti de la Résistance. They are led by Jacques Lafitte, which is a reformer. That is interesting because reformer allows, like the name implies, to reform over very interesting laws. So meritocracy, compulsory primary school, which is so much important for the children. They want some right on the woman. They want sort of more liberal assimilation policy, which is another unique law from ultra historical mode. And then on the citizenship, they favor cultural exclusion, which is very liberal compared to the national supremacy. So yeah, it is basically one guy that will be very useful to pass good laws early on because of this trait. Then for the general industrialist, they are plutocratic, which means they want a state led by the money. I won't go for but basically they want for money. They support per capita taxation, which is everyone pays the same money, which is very unjust for the poor. And they want colonial exploitation, of course, for more resources from the colonies. Yeah. Now for Bonapartiste, we have the armed force and the petite bourgeoisie. The armed force are led by Jean de Dieu Soult, historical character, but kind of inconsequential. Yeah, indeed. Basically, the goal is to change the history, but we can't go that far in history with today's political stance because it just not work for the back then society. So he's a moderate, so he does not do anything more than the stance here. The armed force are basically jingoist. That means they want to increase the armed force. They want mass conscription, and they kind of like colonization. They are loyalist, which means they want better taxes, so there is more money for the army. They are not dumb on this stage. And securitarian, which means they don't like private liberties. They want police forces, they want secret police, they want censorship, and so on. Then we have the petite bourgeoisie, which is the core of the Napoleonian supporters, which are led by Jean-François Mocquard, another historical character, which is Bonapartiste. Bonapartiste means they want kind of authoritarian monarchy, but with universal suffrage. It's really a political abomination. They want a professional army. They like interventionism and mixed economy. Mixed economy is unique law from the mod, which is kind of represent the Keynesian economy later on, but early on we can have access to it. They like endorse income taxation. They are kind of bad to help us reform the taxation. From the land reform, they like homesteading because they just put it under Napoleon the First. And for social classes, they are fine with meritocracy. Basically, it's a mixed bag for the Bonapartists. And for the generic petite bourgeoisie, they are nationalists. So they want national supremacy, forced assimilation, border control, and so on. They are meritocratic, which is a kind of... from today, it's kind of conservative, but back then it was very liberal. So elected bureaucrats, they want proportional taxation, which is very modern from the time. They want meritocracy, which is in the name. For the economic system, they like the laissez-faire because they believe of the meritocratic capitalism. They don't like worker rights because of meritocracy myths, and don't like welfare also. Tu devrais pas vraiment les aimer non plus, Desmond. Then, for the Republican, we have another reformer here, which is basically the same ideology than Jacques Lafitte, which is Adolphe Thiers. It is a character I don't really like in the history because he did awful things to some French people, like in the events of the Commune later on. But for now, he is liberal representative of the Republican. So, the intelligentsia, which is the people in the university, some enlightened nobility, the administrative people, and so on, they are liberal. It's not economic liberal, it's political liberal. Means they don't like very much the police. They want guaranteed liberty, protected speech. They support the right of women. They are pro-immigration. Immigration is really, really important in French because they are so bad birth rate. We really want more migration. And that happened in history. I'm myself the descent of Eastern European migration, for example. And social class, they are for meritocracy. Then they are anti-clerical, which means they don't want the church to be too much involved. So they want the total separation of state and religion. They want public school with compulsory primary school, and they prefer appointed bureaucrats. It's the old gauche anti-clerical, basically, which is still represented like in party like current Parti Socialist. Then they oppose slavery. I think it's kind of easy to understand. They are nationalists. Back then, they were very nationalist, like them. And they are revolutionary Republican, which is a specific ideology to the French intelligentsia. The other intelligentsia in other places don't have that. They endorse everything that is Republican. So universal suffrage, republic. They don't want serfdom, they want homesteading. They support meritocracy, and they want mass conscription instead of professional army. Last but not least, Parti Légitimiste. Our enemy in this political game. So they are represented by François-René de Chateaubriand. People that made some literature study might know him. So he's a romantic, which makes aristocrats stronger. Inspirational orator is a great author. Is pious and represents the interest of the Catholic Church. A legitimist. So, legitimists, they want monarchy, autocracy, no voting. They want state religion, they want censorship, they want tenant farmers, land-based taxation, the worst, and hereditary privilege. They want France to go back in the wars of the Ancien Régime. Then the normal church wants charity hospital and religious school in the institution. They prefer monarchy with state religion and religious primacy in citizenship. And they are patriarchal, of course. They don't like women, as many religions back then, sadly. And we have a last one, marginalized group, which are the trade union, because there wasn't many workers in industry back then, led by Charles Fourier, another historical character, an utopian. So he wants very utopian for the time being, proto-communist ideas, basically. I won't detail this too much because he's marginalized for now, and he won't be alive for long. He is already 63, and when the trade union will be stronger, probably socialism will be a thing. So it will be different. So the trade union are proletarian, which means they want laws for the proletariat people. So many public things, public school, public health insurance, old age pension, and modern laws to allow this. So graduated taxation, which is the best law for the taxation, which is the fairest, but it's hard to get. They are egalitarian, so they want people to be more equal. So they want protest speech, workers' protection. They want homesteading or collectivized agriculture, and endorse meritocracy. They are populist, which means they want democratic reform for the people. So they want maybe a council system, which is basically a communist republic. They want universal suffrage, elected bureaucrat, and they prefer army of people than professional armies. And of course, they are anti-slavery. Then we can see the laws. We have many laws in three categories. Power structure means how the state is organized, economy, how the economy works, and the human rights, how the different people rights are made. So for now, we have a monarchy. There is other law like republic, theocracy, council republic, anarchy. So theocracy is a monarchy, but for the directly owned by the church. Like council republic is basically the system of the former Soviet Union. We'll go on the bonus and malus later on. It's less important than the comprehension of how it works. On distribution of power, we have a parliamentary system. Other systems are presidential, oligarchy, technocracy, autocracy, single party system, which is basically for like a fascist state or for the Soviet Union under Stalin, corporate state here, and council system, which is the communist theoretical system. Then we have the voting law. We are here in Wales voting, and we can go to other law like universal suffrage or suffrage. Some laws are not available because, for example, for weighted universal suffrage is only when we have a privilege for aristocracy. Thank you, Marl. Thank you a lot for the baguette. Then the citizenship law. We have now national supremacy, but we can probably switch to a more liberal one soon enough. So we have racial segregation, basically the law inspired by the USA system, and cultural exclusion, which is the most liberal law we can get now. Multiculturalism, which is a bit anachronic for the area, can be achieved in certain conditions, but really hard. So for the more liberal law we can get is here, which make the people more accepted and less discriminated, but still a bit discriminated. And the church wants a citizenship based on religion instead of nationality. Then we have the social cases, which is a system from ultra-historical mode. It's basically a generalization of the engine caste system, which is in the base game. Thank you a lot, Marl, for the message and for the baguette. And really thank you for your support. I know you really like the mod, and I hope we'll play together and to improve the mod. And thank you also for your feedback for the mod. You're great, man. So in the social classes, we have the hereditary privileges, which is basically the Ancien Régime society, which means everyone save the nobility is discriminated. Then the flexible privileges, which is more the German or British system in the 19th century, meaning there is still nobility privilege, but some richer people from the bourgeoisie, capitalists, and so on, can get access to the nobility and get those privileges. Then we have the meritocracy, which is basically the abolition of privilege. But in theory, it makes everyone equal. In practice, it makes the industrialist, the capitalist, having way more power than the poor people. So that make for the proletarian people things a bit harder. But it's still way better than the noble privileges. And at least there is a classless society, which is a kind of utopia, since it does not exist in reality at all, but it is in theory one of the end goals of the Marxist communism, which means the upper class are disappeared and everyone is equal in the proletariat. Okay, then we have the church law, which is basically how we want the state to meddle in the society. So the religious want state religion, while the liberal want total separation, which means French become atheist, but with everyone accepted. We can even get to the state atheism in certain conditions, which means the people that are not atheists are discriminated. Then we have the bureaucracy, which means if the bureaucrats are appointed by the state, elected, or with hereditary role. I kind of like the appointed bureaucrat, but the elected is not that bad. We can get one or the other, depending on the circumstances. We have a professional army, which is decent, but not kind of limited because we cannot conscript many people. The end goal later on will be to get to the mass conscription army model, which will go to create the conscription institution, which is a novelty from the ultra-historical mode, increasing the ability to conscript people for a big army. Basically, it represents the army like the World War I armies. But for now, we will stay with the professional army. National militia can be useful to defend and is good for a country like the USA that does not need to go on many wars, while the peasant levies is basically obsolete. The things from the Middle Ages. It's a model for the Russian army at the time, for example. And then we have the internal security, which is the secret police and so on. We have the National Guard, which is an heirloom from the Napoleonic time, making kind of mobilization, military mobilization possible. Helps to prevent rebellion, but kind of weak compared to secret police or guaranteed liberties. We won't go to no home affair because if there is a conservative revolution, we cannot fight back. So I don't want the legitimists to take the power back. Now on the economic system. We have many economic systems. Of course, we have the Orléanist in power, so it's the golden age of laissez-faire. In French, l'âge d'or du libéralisme. It is a very strong law in game. So, free charter, we have 90% private construction allocation, which means the private sector have the priority over the construction capacity. Minus 25% loan interest rate. That means we can go into debt and pay less interest. That is big. People also, we need less bureaucracy because people basically manage themselves into the capitalist system. We cannot nationalize. We are forced to privatize everything that is privatizable. We cannot give monopolies. But the capitalist and the shopkeeper invest more. I don't think we will change that before way later. Probably for interventionism or something more socialist there, or even to mixed economy. But interventionism basically give less bonus and less malus and allow more intervention in the economy, like the name said. So yeah, it will really depend on the circumstances, but for now we'll say in the laissez-faire to let the economy grow by itself. Basically, another thing Desmeon will hate. Taxation, no, trade before. Trade, we are mercantilist, which is kind of bad system, but not that bad, I mean. Not that bad because it works. Basically, it's meant to export and get money from exportation and try to be autosufficient. But yeah, minus 25% trade advantage for import. But you see, nobody wants it anymore, so you can wait with it. We have two other choices that are both are great. The last one is isolationism, which is more from early on Japan or China, and you want to get rid of it because you are forced to be an autarky and you get lots of debuff. It's bad. You have protectionism, which means we have very high liberties on tariffs, and we have free trade, which means we can't make much tariffs. We can get big subvention, but subvention are not that important compared to tariffs. But we have influence, trade advantage, more technology spread. It's not great when you are not a big country because you can be swayed and become economically dependent of a bigger one. But once you are a big power, it's the best, in my opinion. Early on, at least. Later on, when we want to protect something, I think later on we'll go on protectionism, but early on, free trade, I think, is the way to go. Then the tax law. For the mod, I've created a new tax law, which is income taxation, which is an intermediary step between this one and this one. So we have in per capita taxation, which means everyone pay the same, which is really unjust because the poorest pay the same as the richest. Not the same percentage, the same. Look at this. You pay this for every population pay this, and that's it. So one objective will be to, as soon as possible, go for income taxation, which means the income is taxed in a percentage instead of a flat value. See, income tax rate. And later on, we have more progressive laws, but we can't get them because we need socialism and central planning to get them. But the most modern law you can get here is there. And there we have somewhat archaic laws when you do tax only peasant. Land-based taxation is you tax only peasant, which is really bad because when you industrialize, you have less and less peasant, so the state have less and less means. And then consumption-based taxation, that you only make money from the taxation tax, the good consumption taxation, TVA in French, which is unjust as fuck and don't give much money. In land reform, we start with a really strong law, which is homesteading, meaning we have lots of free peasants and farmers. This is pretty cool. This attract migration. But yeah, it's not that optimal for capital accumulation because the 50% of the land are owned directly by the farmers and peasants, and so cannot be used for capitalist investment. But it gives less administration costs, it gives more migration attraction, and let the farmers to invest a bit more. I think we will keep it for a while. Maybe later on go for collectivized agriculture if we have the occasion, or possibly for the commercialized and the agriculture if we really go full capitalist. Because yeah, we can go full capitalist if the industrialists become very strong. Tenant farmer is more archaic law where the landowner own all the farmers' land and they have to pay the landowner. Serfdom is basically the early Middle Age and still exists in countries like Russia. We don't want that. If I think nobody in France wants that, even the awful legitimist, thankfully. It's slab away, basically. Colonization, we have colonial resettlement, which is basically getting new territory and make it French. Frontier colonization is more for the USA, Russia, Japan to push their border on empty lands. Empty. You see what I mean? And colonial exploitation is the more modern form of colonialism that happened in the late 19th century and early 20th century, which is basically you don't want to own and have French people to live in colonies, but to exploit the native for the resources. It is not slavery, but kind of. And it is the big law of imperialism. Then we have the law for police. So no police. Local police force mean the local aristocrat do the law enforcement. Dedicated police force is, I think, the best law because it does not have much disagreement and is more efficient without boosting the landowners. We have the private schools, which are not great, but still better than no school or religious school. We will push as soon as we can for public school because public schools are great, but we might need to wait some time for it. We don't have health system for now. We'll try to get one, maybe the private health system, because we will need first the technological advancement. For the law, we have the censorship, because it's not a real democracy for now. We want probably more liberal system. No worker rights. Well, it's a bit too early. The child labor is allowed, which increase a bit birth rate and dependent income, but at the cost of lots of mortality, because children work is not really good for the health of the children. We'll try to go for more children rights later. For now, we have the traditional role of women, which are more birth rate, but yeah. Later on, we get probably more right for the women, but for now, we have too little support there to do that in politics. We have the poor laws, which is a very ancient welfare law which helps the poorest people, but in exchange to strip them for their political rights. Meaning they can live, but they cannot vote anymore. It's supported by the rich people, for obvious reasons, but it's not great overall, but still better than no social securities. No migration control. As you see, there is lots of nationalists pushing for migration control or even severe national migration control. We'll see. I don't think we want to change that because our birth rate is too low for to have the luxury to stop migration. Then here, it is a set of law created in ultra-historical mode. which are the assimilation policy, which means specific policies in areas where there is non-French speaking people, forcing them to learn French and to get French culture. It was very used in area like Brittany, Alsace, Corsica, the whole Occitania area, also in the north with the Picard people. For now, it's kind of hated. People want to stop assimilation at all. We might go there, but not a big priority because right now we don't have much area where it is effective. I think only Alsace and Corsica are concerned. And slavery is banned. I don't think anyone wants slavery anymore in France. At least this type of slavery. And so for in the institution, you have kind of a lot of institutions unlocked. You have the colonial affair, the social security, the education, law enforcement, and home affairs. As you see, there is other level available, but they are grade, which means we don't have enough bureaucracy to activate them. Bureaucracy costs money, and investment. We have to build a new administration center and so on. So we won't go too fast to increase them. Also, we don't need much colonial affair for now. Social security is the same. We don't need much because most of people are peasants, so they don't need yet. Education is maxed out, but we can go further with children's rights. Law enforcement is really low. I think it's the and same for home affairs. I think we will go a bit higher there to prevent possible revolution to happen too soon. Okay, we've seen for the politics. Now we will look at starting passing a law. I think probably the strongest law to pass right now. We have two little chances. Most of our laws are pretty modern for the era, but I think the fastest to get there is with a 42% chance to get is free trade. So there is 3 phases for the voting of a law. If we go there without getting too much setback, the law will be effective. We won't have to get to worry about it for now. Then we'll go for the economy. Thankfully, it will be quicker. The politics is probably the most complete and complex menu. The other are simpler. Okay, also, yes, I forgot for politics, we will start to bolster the radical movement because they will help us. And suppress the legitimists. That costs authority, but I think it's worth it. Then we have the budget. For the budget, we can set the consumption taxes. We can set the taxation level overall. And we see what are the expenses and the revenue. Also, here very important, unrealized tax, which means there isn't enough administration in those areas to tax everyone properly. So that is something we will have to fix very soon. But for now, we will look at the consumption taxes. So you see, for now, there is wine tax, services, and liquor. Wine gives lots of money because French people are kind of addicted to wine. More wine for more bucks. Taxing services is okay because right now, mainly very rich people use services. Same for wine. For liquor, not sure because liquor is used by everyone. So taxing it make the poor people even poorer. So I'm removing it. We will attempt to tax the rich more by taxing luxury stuff for now. So we will tax the transportation, the luxury clothes, the luxury furniture, the silk, the porcelain, and the fine art. It does not give much, but it does not cost much authority to do it. Maybe another one? No. It's not interesting, and we want to keep a bit more authority for more things. For now, we will stay on the medium taxes because we don't want to overtax the population. If we tax them too much, they will be poorer and then consume less, and the economy will be slower. But we can increase the government wage, which helps a lot to get more authority, but also government wage and so on. If we lower it too much, we lose prestige and approval from some political groups. Also, here we can increase the military wage, but it's not that important if we don't are at war. So maybe we will do that later. But for now, we don't need it. So that's the state. It says expenses and taxes on every state. So Île-de-France, of course, is the costlier, and in terms of tax, is the Rhône that gives the much. Île-de-France does not pay for itself at all. Oh, how surprising that Paris is paid by the rest of France. And then the asset, which is the most important, the gold reserve. We have the invest pool, which is the used by the capitalists to invest and create new capital, so new building and new way to industrialize the country. And then if we use the weather, and we'll be using them because that's useless to get that much money doing nothing. It is the credit, which is basically how many we can go into debt. It is based on the size of the economy. The bigger the economy, the further we can go into debt. The strategy we will use, as usual, is basically one that was used later on in the era, but it's kind of a bit anachronic for the early game, which is the deficit spending, meaning we will go into debt to invest to boost the economy. And the economic growth will make the credit to grow faster than the debt. Basically, we will grow the debt, but the percentage of the debt will be lower over time, which is a nice economical strategy. Okay. Then for the building, we'll modernize what we can already. There is some food industry, we can't do much there. On the textile, some are specialized on luxury, or some are not. Well, we don't touch that for now. Same for the furniture. For the glasswork, they are all producing both normal glass and ceramics. Maybe no, both can stay. Tooling workshop, no change. Here, not explosive. We have really basic industry for now. Explosive is yeah. Armament industry, it can be improved a bit. Same for the artillery. Ammunition cannot move. The farms. We'll go for improving farming. Maybe some area would be nice with some fruit. But not everywhere. Maybe in the south. Picardie, Lang, the Rhône, and Provence. Let's go. And harvesting tool. It will affect negatively some production early on, but that will change later on. Same for the ranches. Do we need much wool? No. Oh, still better. Okay. Don't touch that for now. Oh, iron mine. Yeah, important to have a better production method here. And then, urban center will go straight for the gas street lighting that will increase the demand for coal. But no. Yeah. The trams will also improve the demand for transportation. That's great. The art does not change much. For the government administration, yeah, we need that. To improve the administration for filling cabinets, which gives way more taxation capacity and way more bureaucracy. Our taxation capacity problem might be solved already by changing that. And we go for the secular administration because we don't want the clergy in the university. The less clergy, the better to weaken the monarchist. Thank you, Tom Ube, for the follow. So, to go secular. Logging camp, not much we can do. Fishing wharf, fishing trawlers. For the port, cargo port, we go for the most recent production method. Railway does not change. Tension turn. Warehouse, we can't do much. And here, yeah, that's basically it for the building. We have modernized everything. We saw we have shortages of some goods. That's what we will do right now. So we have the goods, the trade, and so on. Lots of new stuff from the new version of the game, making the market price, the balance, sell order, buy order, and so on way more interesting, and direct access to the world market. We know what is exchange. For example, here's the ammunition. We have a bigger price because there is more import than export. We export, yeah. They import from us a bit. The Russian and the Austrian, and us and the American are exporting. Here, look, the higher the price, the more profitable it is. And then on the opposite, very low price means it's not really profitable to get new one. It means there is too much of that resource right now and too few there. So that will give us an idea on what to do to get richer. And then the participant, it is who is importing what. The bigger market, example, the biggest importer is the British, but we are not part. And on the export, yeah, we export way less than that we import. So we might have to fix this imbalance, else we will get a bit poorer. Okay, go back to the market, because there is things to do on that. So the trade, yes. Here we start by default by having tariffs everywhere. So we'll put this to 0 to avoid, for now, losing trade competitivity. But later on we might play a bit for things we lack. For example, engines. We lack engines. So we might improve the subvention, but for now we won't do it. When the game will restart, we will see again when the equilibrium will be reached. Food security is all about the access to food. For now, we are safe, but in some areas like Pakistan, like Libya, Arabia, and so on, there is some famine, and more weirdly in Bremen, in Hamburg, because they are lacking food compared to the population. Yeah, so not much to do there. Here, on the military, we start with a kind of big army. We will probably have to reform it to save some money. And set some mobilization option. So, let's go. Here we have that much infantry and cavalry. We will reduce it to have more sizable, and pass some professional soldier to conscript. So we don't need that much cavalry. 5 is good enough. And here yeah, and then recruit some some conscript to fill up in case we need a bigger army. But for now, we will avoid a big war with other countries. As you see, there is no proper artillery unit anymore, because in the mod, artillery was replaced by mobilization option. We see that later, which is more interesting because in the vanilla game, it makes a situation where you attack with artillery and defend with infantry. Sorry, which in terms of immersion looks a bit weird. So basically, artillery is replaced with infantry clone, but as I wrote it, do not use it, just for the AI to not be confused. Okay, so we will just quickly reduce the size of all existing armies and replace them by conscript. Where they are? Here in the south. Sorry, I missed. Want to build conscript, not. And one more. Good. Here we are. Yeah, it's a good trick to replace standing armies by conscript whenever you can, but keep still a standing army, so you can have more money for the economy and less spend on the army. So here we have, they are in the east. No. Then more. And we are good. And then our Armée d'Afrique. She's kind of big. Yep, so we have here basically a bigger army now, but with less standing troops, so more money for us, for other things. And in case of war, we can mobilize more people right now. Then we will see the mobilization option for everyone. In the mod, we did add a lot of mobilization option, which means we have more stuff to consider, which is armament of infantry arms and artillery. We have to consider more ration with supplies and so on, the uniforms, the transportation, the reconnaissance and aerial support, which means you see this icon from Heart of Iron 4, direct combat support for aviation, but it's a very light game stuff. But for now, we will go for standard dress. We'll go for a complete infantry arms before getting the breech locks and bolt action. We'll go for the mobile artillery. Ah, shit, we have a bug there. I will have to correct this later on. It's just a naming bug, it's not much. But basically, it names the cannon artillery and then line artillery. And then we won't do that because it's only helpful when we are lacking from resources to make the army eat, but can get extra supplies is good. Force march is not great because it make more moral loss, but later on can get rail transport when we get more engine. And then we have the option of heavy weapon supply. It's effective but so much costly, so we will avoid to do that. Okay, for the army it's done. We'll create a power block because we don't have one, and as a big power we need a power block to be serious. So we go for a trade league. Trade league is great. And start with external trade, which will help for the trade on the world market. For now, because it's mandatory there. We'll create something, a globe. Wow. Sickle, flame. So the statue is not that important, but it is kind of funny. Yeah, and no, the emblem. Simple, we don't need something complicated. Just the symbol. Oh, that's great. And call it something more 20th century like I did in the multiplayer game. So I'm lock here. That's fine. The power block will help us to have a bigger area of influence over other countries, to invest in them and have money from there, good relation and so on. It will deteriorate relation with other countries with a power block, but that's fine. Go later in the diplomacy. We are not alone because there is Tahiti with us, which is basically a sort of colony that still is a French colony right now. So that is for power blocks. Then diplomacy. Diplomacy, it's all about treaty and relation between countries. In the map, you see, there is some colors telling who loves us and who hates us. The Prussian don't like us. The British don't like us too. What a surprise. The Russian and the Austrian are mid. Spanish are mid too. The small Italian state like us, small German state like us, Sweden like us too. The Belgian likes us also. But do we like the Belgium? I don't know. Maybe some part of Belgium should be French, honestly. Like, I don't know, Wallonia, which is populated by Wallonian people, which are French-speaking people. Yeah. We'll go for that. But now let's look at the current treaty we have. With Switzerland, we have transit right for the Swiss to access the world market. With Egypt, we have military assistance and good transfer of military stuff against some fabric and investment right, which is good but could be better. I think we can renegotiate that treaty. We'll go for a negotiation of all the treaty. For Belgium, we guarantee their independence. Okay, that might not last for long, but yeah, this treaty will stay for a while. For Portugal, we have a defensive pact. That means we agree to defend, go at war to defend each other, which is a kind of unbalance since Portugal is not that strong compared to France. And with Spain, we have also a treaty with military assistance. Military assistance is not that good for us because it makes our military good fast, to cost more. So maybe we have to renegotiate that. There is a lot of stuff to renegotiate. We have an obligation from the Greek. That's really good if we want to go. And we have a protectorate with Tahiti. So, first for the diplomacy, let's go for the diplomatic lens. We can declare interest, which means we are interested in area. We can declare interest based on our capacity with the navies, more later on the navies, and also our influence as great power. So for now we have influence in East Africa, in North Africa. What is brown means since we have already land there, we don't need to go declare interest. We have interest on the Mexico and the southern USA. We have already interest there. So we have interest for Russia, what is enough. Most of Europe, that's good. Maybe we need for Anatolia. That's mean more for the Ottoman Empire situation. We'll need for South China. China is always interesting. Indochina too, because we might get a colony there. For Japan, because Japan is always an interesting diplomatic partner or diplomatic victim, depending on what they do. We have another interest to declare. I think we will go for the Niger area because it's an area where we might colonize later on. and that's fine. We can establish colonies already, and we will start. We can colonize Mauritania, the windward coast, Guinea, and Gambia. They won't progress fast because, as you see, there is malaria. Malaria is awful. If we don't invent solution against malaria, we won't be able to colonize much in this area of the world. It's Earth. So then we have diplomatic action possible. We can set rivalry. Rivalry are important because rivalries allows us to get more influence, and influence is so much important for to be spent for diplomatic pact and diplomatic action. If we don't have rival, we don't have friend. Basically, it's like in real life. So we tell the other country we consider come rival. It's not enemies. It means we compete. It doesn't mean we go to war immediately. So the base one, I'm French, so I don't even think when I declare rivalry for the British. It will, yeah, kind of piss off the intelligentsia and please the landowner, but yeah, we don't want, and it gives so much influence. Then we have Austria, which is another old rival, especially in the Napoleonic War, and we might be forced to go to war against them to help future ally in Italy. Also, they have very backward politics and they won't help us much to develop. Then on the big power, the last one I might rival is Russia, because it is far, and not the last one, but the big one. They are kind of far, they are very poor, and we have not much interaction with them. And the Ottoman, because they are weak and we can take their territory anyway. Yeah, indeed. The first part of the multiplayer, it was exactly my first action in the game to declare rivalry to the British. So we have tons of influence that will be used. We don't need to rival Russia. Brazil is far. We don't want much interaction with them anyway. So it's basically free influence. For the others, they are close to us. Netherlands and Prussia, we might have some interest with them. For Prussia, it depends. If they decide to be hostile to us, we will rival them. But for now, we let them away. Then we will increase the relationship for our future ally, or just to calm down possible enemies. So we will spend lots of influence to appease Prussia, the Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, it's given, Sardinia, Piedmont, okay. Switzerland, no. The United States can be a natural ally. Possibly Egypt, because we have some interest there. Greece too, because we want the bigger Greece to be part of our economic union. and possibly some German states like Bavaria, the southern one, Hanover, and Saxony. Not that much. We need probably more influence. Yeah, we don't need all that. More influence for other stuff. For the rest, we have obligation, expectation, fund lobbies. Not for now, but it will probably be necessary later on to get countries in our power block. Very important. Fund lobbies is basically giving money to some countries' politicians to press our interest in those countries. Really powerful for the AI, but kind of useless in a multiplayer game. Okay. Diplomatic demand, it means what we can do aggressively. It will happen very soon, but it is in another phase. For now, let's renegotiate existing treaty and create new one. So, treaties. Start with Spain. Military assistance is yeah. So I will suppress that. They still like us. Invest and right. They don't like that much. But if I give military access, no, that does not work. Yeah, they are not really content with that. Let's see. Trade privileges on both sides. Mm, 40% chance of acceptance. They might be wanting. Okay. Goes both sides. Yeah, it's better with military access. Transit rights. Where is transit right? There. No, it's not. It does not give much. Yeah, negotiating treaty is an important part of the game. What? And with the embassy, they don't want. It will be later for the embassy. For now, we have. Yeah, it's enough. You see, this treaty is perfectly equal, which means we have both investment rights, trade privilege, military access, and we keep the defensive pact. So Spain is going to be a great ally. We will name it, for example, Traité d'amitié franco-espagnole. Yeah, better. Spain is not the best partner, but it is an easy ally for the French sphere of influence. And I think that's it. Let's go. We'll see if they accept when we are on pause. Then, Portugal, we have a treaty. We'll renegotiate it too. Because it's really favorable to us, to them for now. Investment right, always. Yeah, power block embassy. We want them in our power block so bad because they have interesting position in Africa already. and we can get lots of interesting resources with them, and so we don't have to trade with the British this way. So straight privilege is important. Yeah, I can even ask for more. My company will get some privilege for them. It is good. Yeah, it reduces things a lot. No. Low commitment. No. No. Prohibit them. No, no, no. The rest is a bit harsh. I think we are good. Maybe an obligation? Yeah. This treaty is more in my favor because Portugal is very weak compared to me. And Spain was weaker, but not that weak. The weaker is the country, the more likely they want to accept one directional right. Also make them bidirectional investment right means they might invest in France more than in their own country, which is kind of funny and not that bad for us. Let's go. Then, other treaties. We have a treaty with Belgium. What can we negotiate? Investment rights, of course. On both sides. We want Belgium investment right. Maybe we might remove it later. Then, some trade privileges. Why not? No, that's too much. I think that's good. Ah, power block embassy. Yeah, 82 is fine. If they refuse, that's it, that's not that important. So the Egyptian, because the Egyptian costs us a lot, does not give much. Let's see. Ah, they don't even like it. What do they want? A power block embassy. Yeah. Some trade privileges. I have already. No. Yeah, 25-year Twitchy. Sounds good. We'll make Egypt already a client state at this stage. That's it's called an unfair treaty. We might renegotiate it later if they like us more. And then we have something with Switzerland. We are giving something, but we are not getting anything from that. I want investment right. I want trade privileges. Yeah, I can guarantee their independence. Oh, a block embassy. Yeah. I think Switzerland will be possibly easily worked into the French sphere. I will improve the relation there. So then time to negotiate new treaties with new actors. Yeah, I can't get much with the Dutch for the moment, but with the Italian it might be good. A defensive pact already? It helps. I want investment right, and I want their investment right. Poem blank embassy. Quite privilege on both. And let's try a company monopoly. As you want it. Nice. And an obligation. Yeah, it's a good treaty. Let's go for 25 years. And send proposal. I'm sorry, I have to go for a minute. We'll go back in 2 minutes. I'm back. So, we have finished to set the initial diplomacy there for Sardinia. Is there another pays where we want some diplomacy? We have some point left. Maybe with the USA? Treaty. What can we get? Trade privilege with the USA seems a solid choice. We don't want investment rights because it will make our capitalists to invest too much there and not for us, and their capitalists won't help much. No alliance, no defensive pact are needed because they will do a lot of war and we are too far for them. But that might change if we really need a good ally. There is nothing much we can do. Nah, not a good idea. 12 privileges is always good with them. That's allowed to bypass the British. Let's go. Ah, Sweden also. Sweden is always solid because they have good iron mines, and iron is so much important early on. So can guarantee their independence. That gives a lot, and get lots of stuff from them in exchange. Yeah, I think that's it. 50 years. No, it's too long. 25. No obligation. That's enough. Maybe we can get theirs. No, they don't have much construction capacity anyway. The new treaty system is so great because every country is different and has different interests, and as a big power you can really get much out of smaller countries, but smaller countries can get their own interest field. For example, if we have investment right in smaller countries, we can help them to develop, yet they don't have the ownership of the new buildings, the new industries, but that still employs their population and they get taxes from it. It's good. Technology. Technology is a system in the game that I feel is not great right now. It's kind of simplistic. It looks like an Age of Empire technology system. So, yeah. Still, we need some important law as soon as possible. We need first the pharmaceutical, because it allows us to have social health system. It is super important. Then we have decent law, but not that important there. Nationalism is important, but not too much for us. Yeah. Joint stock company is so important, because one more company is a lot, and it makes the capitalism more efficient. So let's go. That is good. Maximum cash reserves. Yeah. It's basically more money possible. And modern sewage helps also for the early on. So we'll go for that, and then some production. I think the water tub boiler will help us a lot to improve our industry. And then we need basically all what we don't have yet. The nitroglycerin help for explosive factory, but we don't have much use for it now. So we will go for this probably. With a shift click, we can basically have QA technology, so we don't have to care much. In military, is there something really important? No. I think we will catch up from the other countries like Russia and so on, using the technological spread. The mod kind of make the technology a bit different, but it works a lot like in vanilla. It's just a bit more important to have good literacy, and spamming university is less powerful, but still important. We'll do that later. So technology. Society is purely informational there. So we have the different social classes, and most of the population is accepted. There is some second class citizen, like yeah, the Occitan, Franco-Provençal, and so on. Open prejudice for the Alsatian and Flemish. Cultural erasure for some more Alsatian, the Catalan, the Afro-Antillan, Basque, and so on. They are very discriminated, and we have violent hostility against the Tamils, basically all the colonized people, and the Jewish, which is not historical. So that's why in a future version of the mod, I will make some special rule for the Jews to be more accepted by base, and have some law for Jews, Jewish people rights, which is very important in the era, but it is a touchy subject, so I will take my time to have it to make it right and not have people triggered and so on, because I missed some important part. So yeah, we have basically the French, the Occitan, Franco-Provençal, which are the people around Lyon in the Alps, Breton from Brittany, Alemannic, so German from Alsace, Corsican, Catalan from the southern part, and then people, very minoritarian people. Religion, mostly Catholic, which is the state religion. We have some Protestant, very few Jewish people, and very few Muslim people. The Jewish people number is unhistorical right now, because Paradox number are not that accurate, but we will have a population rework in the future map mod, but it's not ready at all for now. So. But it is something we looked, especially in Germany. There is a lot of missing Jewish people, and that's not a pun. They just have not used a statistical number there. And the classes, I redid the classes, because in Vanilla we just have upper class, middle class, and lower class. So we have the landed aristocracy, la noblesse, which are the landowners. We have la haute bourgeoisie, which are the capitalists. In the middle strata, it is really diverse, because we have the clergy, which is the old clergy from the Ancien Régime and so on. Thank you a lot, Jored, for the follow. Bonsoir. Si tu parles français, n'hésite pas à poser des questions en français. We have la petite bourgeoisie, the shopkeepers and the farmers, the intellectual profession, so intellectuel. Ok, bienvenue en tout cas. We have the bureaucrat and the engineers, which are basically the intellectual middle class opposed to the traditional middle class. And we have the officer, which have kind of special place in the society. Salut Grégor! Et bienvenue sur le stream. At least we have the proletariat, le proletariat, which is the working classes in general. So we have the clerks, so les employés de bureau, the laborers, les ouvriers, machinists, les techniciens, les paysans, peasants, the slaves. We don't have slaves in France back then, but in general, slaves are considered in the proletariat, and the simple soldiers. There we have a lot of charts with the population, with the profession, the culture, the religion, the census data. If you like the spreadsheet, that's something I really love in this game. It's tons of information. We have dynamically over time, depending of what you do, what the other country does, and so on. You can select everything with so much way to classify the people. If you see the population at game start, French, 2/3 of France are peasants, and already lots of laborers, but most might be farm laborers. So without so much class consciousness like in industries. You have some farmers and soldiers. And then only we get the middle class profession. It's really the 1% for the capitalists and nobility. Oui, là, je vais encore faire ça une petite demi-heure, concrètement. Je fais surtout la présentation et on appuiera sur Start à la prochaine session vendredi. Okay, so after that we have the journal, which is the flavor content, basically the decision, and the different events happening in the game. For the French content, we have a big early part, which are the divided monarchists. It's a three branch of the French right: Bonapartist, Orléanist, and Legitimist. And they fight in the secrecy of power to get their dynasty in power. So depending of what happened, what I do, and what happened in the country, the influence might change over time. But if there is something happening like a revolution and a lot of turmoil in Paris, I can get an event for the Second Republic happening. Bon appétit, Red. So we will see what happens there. But it is interesting. The other thing here is the conquest of Algeria. So it's a historical conquest of Algeria under Louis Philippe, which means we have already some town here in Alger, Constantine, and Mascara, in Oran, Alger, yeah, Constantine, and so on. But there is a raid from the Algerian native. Those towns were conquered because it was the lair of pirates in the early 19th century that were raiding all that area. They even raid some American ship. And so the first expedition was to get rid of the Maghreban pirates, and then the power decided to colonize and to have French people to live there in Algeria. So we will go for the historical conquest of Algeria. That's not something I'm supporting and I'm proud of it in real life. But yes, it's a historical game, and I don't have interest to not do it, because if I don't do it, other imperialist power might do it instead, like the British or even the Austrian or Spain or so on. If I conquer it, I will get some events and other journal entries and lots of stuff. Then I can do already a decision, which is the return of the H's of Napoleon. Here that trigger an event. So I have two choices. So to get more prestige and legitimacy, or to get more progress for the Bonapartist. I don't care much about the Bonapartist, so I will take the prestige and legitimacy. And then we have potential journal entries, which mean journal entries that are not activated yet, but I can get, like the natural border of French. To get it, I need to have research nationalism and to have a powerful jingoist, ethno-nationalist, fascist, integralist, or Bonapartist. That is, yeah, an aggressive thing. I activated in a multiplayer game because it's fun and it kind of gives interesting stuff for the other player, but I don't know if I will try to get it. And then we have things like the Springtime of People, which is a big continental revolution that happened in 1848. It can happen and get a revolution. Then we have more generic stuff that we don't have to care much. And we cannot form countries since we already have the greatest country on earth, the France, Universal France. And last but not least, the companies. Companies are a very nice developed feature for the last version of Victoria 3 and are kind of independent and autonomous economic actor in your country that will build stuff and have influence worldwide. For now, we start with a textile company that will produce designer clothes. This prestige good are more liked by the buyer, by the people wanting clothes, so they can be sold more expensive and better, and have a better quality, so they can get they can improve the standard of living of the people buying them. We stop the subvention and tariff there. So I have things to do with them. We can give them investment rights, trade rights, colonization rights, industry rights, and monopoly rights. We won't give monopoly since we are forbid to having a monopoly with laissez-faire. But industry rights, dye plantation, cotton plantation. That might be interesting because they produce textiles, so they need cotton to that, and having a possibility to get cotton or dye elsewhere helps a lot. So we'll see what we can get. Probably dyes. Yeah. Because cotton is really easy to get, dye is a bit more tricky. And trade rights allow them to build trade center. That's really important. Yes, investment rights are good since we have lots of that allow our company to build in country where we have investment right. That's good. Let's go. So that's our first company. We boosted already. But then we have our other company like Schneider. Schneider is a historical company. We have even that exists still in some area. It's very diversified. In game, they produce the Schneider gun, and they gives those gun more interest, more effect on the army, on the recovery and morale. So that's really powerful and also good for steel mills and artillery foundry and motor industry. So strong. So it's the next company we will get when we have the technology to get more. We have more possible companies like, for example, this one for the champagne. But we will see later what to do. Possibly we'll have to make a food company for the 5% birth rate, because we like birth rate, but that might not be necessary. Textile already is very good. For now, there isn't much companies. There is the Société Anonyme John Cockerill, for example, which is very well known in northern France and Belgium. She is very strong with tooling, steel mills, and motor industries. The Hudson Bay Company, East India Company, which has company states there in the Hudson Bay, and of course in India. Yeah, company can own countries. That's completely madness. There is the German Friedrich Group, which produces the group gun, which is absolutely insane. Russian-American company, which have also its country in Alaska. William Cramp and Son, which is a naval company. And my company, the Dolphus Mig and Company. Okay. So I will look again what I can do more. Yes, maybe start to see things that are, yeah, we don't have enough construction capacity. We will have to construct capacity and fix fertilizer and engine. So for now, we will just go for import subvention for both of them, and we will buy we'll build industries to compensate for that. But I think with the trade we will should go out for the shortage. Shortage is bad for the economy, because it make the industry unable to produce, basically. In the market, I see that I have lots of good with tariffs and subvention. Yeah, not set to 0. Tariffs are not necessarily good for me as grid power. If I were countries trying to industrialize and having to protect my economy, I probably have another strategy, but for now, I will put everything to 0. As the invisible hand tells that the market will solve by itself. Yeah, in the early game we will apply the classical liberal theory and see what happens. So yeah, that's good security. Yeah, no shortages, that's fine. Okay, for that, don't have much to do. So I will start, as always, to build to new construction sector, but for that, we'll put some decree. Decree using authority and gives special effects on a single state, single region. So we'll make there is for resource industry, agriculture, road maintenance. Yeah, it's the best for now for Île-de-France because we will max out Paris and Île-de-France as heart of our economy because it's the most populated area and is already kind of developed. And so we'll start to build construction sector, which are necessary to construct other things in Paris. We also need manufacturing industry there. And that's fine. And then build all those construction sector because we need lots of construction sectors to be efficient as France. We have only like 7 construction sectors. We will go for like 15. We move the 2 in Lyon. Yeah, I think we've touched pretty much everything before pressing start. We won't press start today because it's already late, and I think we saw most of it. If you guys have any questions on ask specific thing about other countries or any specific area in France, I can quickly do show the different states in meanwhile. So, but don't hesitate to interrupt me and ask questions. So, Île-de-France for the capital. It is interesting because it's the capital already. So we have a big market access because it's the capital, of course. The population is at the national average standard of living, which isn't that good. Some people are even starving. We have lots of free trade and taxation capacity. We have a good soil for agriculture. The Seine River improving infrastructure. So we have a good margin of infrastructure, 100% world access market, homeland of France, no specific other stuff. On the building, we have already a big urban center, decent trade center, lots of manor house, which means where the aristocrat and clergymen are getting the money from. They own farms and so on, and the money go in their manor house. A decent side financial center, which means capitalists with their employees. So we have consumer industry, paper mills, which are very important for the paper production. Some art academy already. We have a bit of wood, not much. We have potential to make wine, some wheat and livestock, so for the meat and so on. We have the administration, the university that are not fully employed, that will employ more people over time. A bit of soldiers. We are building construction sector, the trade center, the railway. Make me think I might have to do something with the development. Yeah, ready. For the railway, I will subvention them because they are hardly profitable without subvention, which is kind of historical. Current SNCF is highly state subvention because it's more a public service than an industry. So go back to Paris. That's pretty it for Paris actually. Yeah, the population, pretty big population, like 2 million. We have a lot of peasants, some unemployment. The local price yeah, basically the engine are the problem. Then the steel, the iron, fertilizer. So lots of raw resources, but also industrial resources are needed there. About cheap services and decent furniture. And we have lots of information. We don't need much right now. So it's the capital. Now we look at other interesting area because lots of areas are not that interesting. For example, Auvergne-Limousin is very rural. There is not much industry, bit of wood, some minor potential in mines. Even the agriculture is not developed. There is a bit of administration, and that's pretty it, you see. So, the most interesting region are the Nord-Pas-de-Calais. They call it the French Low Countries, but that's a bit inaccurate. It's where the armament industry is, with the arm industry, munition plants. I might give subvention to the arm industry, by the way, because they are so strategic. I can't afford to let it fail. We have tons of coal, of course, a bit of fish, decent agriculture, and already naval-based trade, soldier and so on. Very well developed area. It's mostly French, so more Picard actually, but The Picard are not in game right now, so they are abstracted into French. And a minority of Flemish people and some Jews. Another interesting area is the East, with Lorraine and Alsace-Lorraine. So the Lorraine here have some tooling workshop, but have lots of mine capacity. So the iron, the lead, sulfur, lots of wood. That might become my main iron producing state. And we have the Alsace-Lorraine, which has already some decent industry, some textile, the seat of my Dolphus MIG company, some arm industry I have to give subvention, a bit of steel, really decent iron and coal mines, potential, a bit of university, some wine, that's nice. Champagne here have not very much, but lots of vineyard potential for the champagne I might get in the prestige wood. Then the Burgundy have some iron, but it's not really developed. I might have to develop it for the Schneider company. Franche-Comté is kind of poor with some iron. The Rhône is very, very rich. Can be a second, even more complete than the North and Lorraine together, because it has both the coal and the iron, which are the engine of industrialization. They even have some silk there, which is important for luxury clothes, cotton, yeah, and already lots of development stuff. Even if they have not many industries, they can become an industrial powerhouse by themselves in Lyon. Lyon, 69. Then Provence, which is not that great in terms of resource potential, only fish and wood. Decent agricultures with potential for cotton. But that's pretty it. And a good naval base for the fleet. Languedoc, same, it's not that interesting for the resource, a bit more for agricultures. Not very much stuff otherwise. Guyenne is pretty empty. Aquitaine, same, with still a bit of coal, which is not that historical, but we'll review the resources later when we redo the economy. We do the ultra historical economic mode. In Auvergne-Limousin there isn't much. In Poitou-Saintonge, it's basically empty. Orléanais-Berry, nothing. Maine-Anjou, nothing. In Brittany, there is the shipyard of Brest and Nantes, very important places for. Also, I have to subsidize the military shipyard. But otherwise, it's mainly agricultural. Normandy is kind of a mixed bag because there is some iron potential, even some whaling station. Yeah, why not? Because the whales are in somewhere in the Atlantic. And otherwise, it's pretty, yeah, some textile industry, which is decent. And Picardy, there is nothing. Only fields. and a bit of textile. So yeah, let me think. I have to subsidize the armament industry in general. I think everything is covered. Munition, artillery, arms, military shipyard. Okay. So, is there any last minute question? Because if not, I will end the stream for today. So, if not, we'll look if there is someone to wait. That will be interesting. Maybe I see another French guy doing some Victoria 3. So let's go. Anyway, thank you a lot, everyone, for the follow and for everything. We didn't even start the game tonight, but I take the time to present most everything. Bye.